Welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. I'm probably posting this on the blog channel, but I want to thank you all for helping us reach 3,000 subscribers. I'm testing a deck that I want to play, and I play interesting things. I'm playing a hybrid deck because I play hybrid decks a lot, because when you don't hybrid a deck has a ceiling, and that ceiling has been reached. People have discovered what the best version of the deck is. The tweaks are minor, so when you hybrid a deck, you get a much higher ceiling. Sometimes you lower your floor, but I mean, sometimes in a shorter tournament, a high ceiling will get you farther. Consistency is great, but if your ceiling is too low, you won't win anyway. So yeah, this is Psy-Frame Infernoids, the Psy-Frame engine. I'm not going to go over what the cards do, because I have entire guides on what Psy-Frames do and what Infernoids do. I will link those guides up above in the cards or down below in the description, wherever it pops up for your phone or whatever like that. So we have two Psy-Frame drivers, because it is a 60 card deck. I don't want to draw it, but I do play a large enough Psy-Frame engine that I will resolve more than one Psy-Frame in a game, so only one driver doesn't work. The way the deck's being played, I'm not playing Desires, but Desires would be a nice card. Personally, I think if you're playing a 60 card deck with the Gamma packaged for Ashes and stuff, and you only play one driver, you're just asking to open the Gamma, activate the Desires, banish the driver, and then not be able to resolve the Gammas. It's kind of like you negged yourself cards anyway, so it didn't do anything. So I prefer to play two. So two drivers. For the Gammas, I play three Gammas. Negates monster effects. So I play three Gammas. The second best one is Delta. Now technically Delta is kind of like an Ash Blossom on turn one usually. Your opponent will activate a spell that they wouldn't expect to get negated or something like that, and you can negate it in a way that they wouldn't have prepared for. The other use for Delta is once you have Lambda on field, you can force spells by like twin twistering them, and then if Lambda's on field, you can activate the Delta. So there are some uses for that. Gamma is similar. If you force a monster effect to activate, well, Lambda's on field, you can get some stuff out of it. But this is kind of like you're called by the grave. This is for pushing. That's pretty good at that. Next is Alpha. I play one Alpha, and I'm not sure if I want to play the one Alpha in the long run. I might just cut this for set rotation, which isn't in here at the moment, but it is a field spell deck. I might put in the extra field spells. But Alpha searches. So if you're going second, and this is a blind go second deck, your opponent could summon a monster, and then you can use this search Gamma if you need to resolve a card in the following turn. So it kind of says my next card will go through because I have Gamma, and you still have a driver in deck. So that's what Alpha does. Beta stops attacks. If you know you're playing, if your opponent puts out a board that's just going to OTK you, you can just use Alpha, search Beta. Beta's okay. It's good to have in hand. It's like Gores, but at least it goes with the deck. Also, if your opponent tries to run over Lambda, this will protect Lambda. Because it's hard to protect Lambda. Lambda's decent at 1700 attack, Link 2, but that's not enough to keep it on the board. So in the Psy-Frame engine, the Psy-Frame deck, the pure Psy-Frame deck, people playing Cyber's Gadget as the best way to make Lambda. You normal Cyber's Gadget, you make Link Disciple, and then Gadget will summon a token, which you make into Link Devotee, and then you use Link Devotee, you use Disciple to tribute Devotee, which lets you draw a card and put a card back into your deck, and then you summon two tokens, and then you make Link Haribo with one of the tokens, then the Devotee and the Link Haribo make Lambda, and then you can bring Haribo back over the other token to have Lambda protected by Link Haribo. So that's that combo, but I don't enjoy the pure Psy-Frame deck at the moment, because if that gets disrupted, you just have Cyber's Gadget sitting on the field. There's just not enough cards that are active in that deck. Alright, so that's the Psy-Frame engine. The Infernoid engine, playing three Decatrons, because this isn't like the Orcus deck where it wasn't the normal summon you want to do. This is your normal summon, so you want to normal this. So three Decatrons. This can be anything. Playing one copy of Prometheus. Prometheus lets you hard synchro summon Omega with the Sajet. So if you Void Feast and you send the level 1, you can then use two monsters. You could use the Sajet and the other Decatron to make Lambda, and then bring back the Sajet and use the Decatron that became Prometheus to make Omega, then activate the Omega, take a card out of your opponent's hand, trigger the Lambda, and search a Psy-Frame you need in your end phase. One Antra, two Harmodic, two Petrula, one Sajet for the Feast, I've upped all the Infernoid counts. They were all 1-ofs before, but they're 2-ofs in a lot of cases now. 1 Sights Moss, 1 Atondel, 2 Deviati, and 2 Inoku to ensure the fusion spell is live. Now the Infernoid count is upped because we're playing Monster Gate, which is a 3-of, and Monster Gate is a stupid card to play if you don't play enough Infernoids. So Infernoids are bricks, but this is like the only way to make Monster Gate good. You have to play enough Infernoids to justify their use. And the smaller ones are the ones that let you get a monster on board at low cost, so you can play the Monster Gate. So that's the Infernoids. I'm playing 3 copies of Void Banishment, the search spell. It's preferable to open Imagination, because they're going second, odds are your opponent makes an extra deck monster. But if they don't, you know, this can at least search Feast. It's also something you can do if you wind up going first. Play 3 Void Imagination, fusion spell. Should all fusion on crack. Play 1 copy of Void Expansion. At the moment, this is the turn off Mystic Mine. If you mine your opponent and you get Banishment, you just search for 3 turns. First turn you search Feast, second turn you search Imagination, third turn you search Expansion, then the 4th turn you push. Because if you can't get through after searching all of those cards, you weren't going to win the game anyway. But that's the game plan. 3 Lair of Darkness, because we play 3, what's it called? Monster Gate. So if you activate this card, you can then tribute your opponent's face-up monsters for your Monster Gate. So that's why this is in here. It's also a card that kind of meant to bait negates. Like, people will negate this because they know Monster Gate's at 3, so they kind of need to assume that if this resolves, Monster Gate's automatically resolving. So you can bait a negate this way. That way, Mystic Mine can stick. So if you saw my recent video on Borreload Savage Dragon and Mystic Mine, I make a claim that this is the best card in the game, and if you're not playing it, you're doing it wrong. And I do completely agree with that. Now, depending on the deck, you might not be able to play it, but then your deck better be able to out this card. And if you're actively not making a choice to play outs for this card, it's the best card in the game. If you're not actively playing outs for it, you are choosing to lose to this card. You know, don't choose to lose to the best card in the game. When Zodiac Trident was like the best card in the game, everyone was playing My Body as a Shield to negate that card. Acknowledge a card is good and play outs, and stop complaining about it. All right. If your boards are going to continue to be insane, I'm going to play spell card evenly matched. That's the way I look at Mystic Mine. Establish a board, and now you can't do anything. So that'll let you sit there for a couple turns while you build up whatever you need. Terraforming, I heard, was a good card. It's limited 1. It's so good that I actually decided that I want to play Left Arm Offering. So there's a lot of really broken spell cards in this deck, and if you wind up with a bunch of Psy-Frames and you just can't force your opponent to like activate them, then you can at least use this. Use the Psy-Frames that are dead in your hand to become any spell in your deck. It could be Mystic Mine, it could be the Terraforming, it can be Monster Gate, Rekindling, anything that's ridiculously broken. This card is everything. The only thing I might cut this for is evenly matched, to just have another great going second card. But I'd rather just mine my opponent, so if I can bait them with other cards and then play this and then activate mine, I think I'd prefer that to even laying people. But, because evenly you have to commit your battle phase, and I really don't want to do that. I'd play Dark Hole, because Dark Hole's really good right now. It just went to 3, but not every board is susceptible to Dark Hole. Dark Hole's a good side deck card for Floodgate monsters, though. It's something I have to start considering again. Haven't yet. Play 1 copy of Foolish Goods to send Psy-Frame Overload to the graveyard, so you can search whatever Psy-Frame you need. Not great, but at the moment I haven't decided if I want to play more of it or less of it. There's just room for a card here. You can cut this. I was trying Foolish Burial at first. You can send the Decatron to the graveyard to boost the Rekindlings, but I don't know. This is just nice to be able to search a Psy-Frame of choice. One reasoning, because you only play 5 normal summons, a 60-card deck, odds are you'll mill 10 cards, and you'll hit a few Infernoids, and then your opponent, a lot of people kind of forgot what levels they need to call for Infernoids, so they should call 1, but you do have a level 6 monster, which is kind of cool. I'm playing the 3 Monster Gates, take advantage of the Lair of Darkness. 3 copies of Rekindling. At the moment, this is kind of up in the air, because this card's only good late game, so 3 of it to start the game isn't great, but 1 Decatron that you just have, you can even just summon normal Decatron, have him become Hermedic, kill himself, and then activate Rekindling, summon another Decatron, the Decatron back, and that's a good play. It's actually better than just banishing to summon another Infernoid, so Rekindling with any Decatron is really good, but with 3 Decatrons it's crazy. And you get to send them all to the graveyard with Imagination or Void Feast by summon them and then bring them back. You can like link into everything. You can freaking extra link if you play Rekindling in Infernoids in the right time, if you actually played an extra deck that can do that. I play, for my back row removal, I play 2 Galaxy Cyclone. This is to turn off my own Mystic Mine. And also, if you're going to wind up playing against Salamangrate, they still have Rage, and that's a 1-card negate, so you don't want to like target it with Twin Twister and discard a card for no reason, so it's pretty solid there. Also, if your opponent's playing Mystic Mine, this is your out. Double Twin. Playing 2 Psy-Frame Overload. Because you play enough Psy-Frames to resolve its effect to banish cards face down, but not so many that you want to rely on this. I mean, it's nice to draw once in a while, but it's a good discard, and you can just search any Psy-Frame. Playing Triple Feast. I'm not playing Trap Trick at the moment. I might side it for when I know I'm forced to go first, or if I actively decide my opponent's board is going to be too crazy and I should go first. Might side the Trap Tricks. Haven't done it yet. I'm playing 1 Metaverse because this will put mine out during your opponent's turn. This card's broken. It's better than Terraforming. Yep. Let's see. The extra deck at the moment, 1 Bewitch's Apprentice for 1 Lair of Darkness is on board, and after you resolve Imagination, you might need to OTK your opponent. Because 2 big Infernoids and Doolittle is game, but if they're all dark, then you have Bewitch. This can be cut because that doesn't happen that often, but it happens enough that I felt the need to put it in. Doolittle for the same thing when you don't have Lair of Darkness on board. Akashic Magician. So somebody, I think his name is Vlad, he made like top 64 at Euros, and what you do is off the feast you summon Decatron here, and then Shajet anywhere, doesn't really matter. Whichever extra monster zone your opponent is using, you're going to use the other one. So you take the Shajet and the Decatron, and you put it into this zone as Akashic, and it'll bounce the Decatron so you can normal it, get more monsters. Pretty cool. Or you can do it the opposite way. If they have this extra monster zone, then you can use this the Decatron here and the Sajet here to make the Akashic here and bounce the Decatron. So Akashic, good for that. 2 copies of Psy-Frame Lambda. Because the first one will get killed sometimes, and you might want to make a second one. But the other reason is because the trap card on field can become live with any 2 monsters. So any 2 monsters can turn the trap card into a loaded gun, where you just pop banish a card face down. So it's good to have 2 of them. In a pure deck, I would definitely say have 2, because once they out one, what are you going to do with 1 extra zone? Nightmare Phoenix, spot back row, Boral Sword, OTK, off of Feasts. It should be really easy to use this, or this, Borload. Got 2 Psy-Frame Zetas, which you send to the graveyard off of Tierra. Actually, I have not synchro summoned these yet in testing, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. Definitely synchro summoned Omega. He's limited 1, so play 1. And he's also the reason why I don't play the pure deck. 1 Tierra for the fusion summon, and then 3 Natest for popping boards. Now, questionably, you might only want 1 Zeta. You can put in a second Tierra, perform the fusion twice. Omega can put back 1 of the Natest, and then you can pop again. Side deck at the moment, up in the air. Thinking about putting in Trap Trick, not sure. But at the moment I'm playing 2 red reboots, because multiples, you don't need that many. You could probably play through traps anyway, but this is just a guarantee. 3 evenly at the moment. Playing Imperial Order for Pendulums. I was playing Anti-Spell before, but that was for Mystic Mine decks. I don't expect Mystic Mine Burn to be a thing even though Demise of the Land is an option that they will be playing, which is a spell card. It puts the mine on the board. Anti-Spell will be good against Pendulums, which is probably the 2nd best deck at the moment, at least assuming nothing really has changed. Like Thunder should still be number 1, Pendulum should be number 2, and then Subterrors should be number 3 at the moment. So Witch's Strike would blow out Subterrors because they negate activations and summons all the time, so you just use this and kill their board. Unlike Salamangrate and what's the other deck? Salamangrate and Thunder, they can't just protect their board. So if you resolve Witch's Strike against Subterrors, they just die. I'm still playing with the side deck. I don't. It's not done yet. It's early on. The format is just started. I haven't played Avis in a tournament yet. I play the 3rd Delta for now. Might change. against Striker, this might be more helpful than Gamma. So in theory, you might want this 3 Epsilon for the correct matchup, where your opponent may be playing impermanences, or maybe the trap trick deck will come out and people will actually try and trap you. But if you have Lambda on board before they start doing things, then this will just like blow them out. And 2 Lava Golems. Now, Lava Golem's a selected card because it does not get, it gets passed over for Reasoning and Monster Gate. Anyways, that's the deck. If you have questions, leave them in the comments.